Does Odell Beckham Jr. want to return to the New York Football Giants? Well, when he took the stage at the Fanatics Fest this weekend, it sure sounded like it. My question to you before we dive into today's show is this. Do you think Joe Schoen should go out and sign Odell Beckham Jr.? Type OBJ for yes or no BJ for no. Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Let's talk about it. Odell Beckham Jr. and really every single pro athlete, it seemed like, participated at the Fanatics Fest this weekend in New York. And while he was on a stage with a bunch of other professional athletes, I saw James Harden up there as well as Joe Burrow. There was a fan from this crowd saying, "Go back to the Giants." And Odell Beckham said, "I got you." And this wasn't the only time that he kind of hinted at wanting to be a Giant again. Later on in the panel, he had to leave. Supposedly there was a hard stop. And as he was dapping up James Harden and showing some love to his former and fellow Bayou Bengal Joe Burrow, he said, "Let's go Giants, let's go Giants. It's all about the Giants." So OBJ at age 32 finds himself in free agency, and maybe he thinks the Giants are a good spot for him. Look, I love Odell Beckham, one of my favorite players to ever play for the New York Football Giants. I'll never forget that 2016 season under Ben McAdoo, first year as a head coach. They go to the playoffs, but the formula for the Giants to win was simple. Keep it close and get the ball to Beckham in the fourth quarter, and he'll go out and make a play. Ask the Ravens, ask the Lions, and every single team the Giants beat that year. The unfortunate truth about OBJ is the best years are behind him, and he really didn't do much in the 2024 season with the Miami Dolphins. That leads me to believe that there's more gas left in the tank. He had an injury to start the year, then he worked his way back from an injury, played in 9 games, but didn't really have anything to show for it, as he had just 9 grabs for 55 yards and didn't reach pay dirt. He was solid the year prior with the Baltimore Ravens. Him and Lamar Jackson showed off a little bit of a connection that they had, but the day and age of Odell Beckham putting up 100 grabs and 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns just is not the same anymore. And it sucks to say, I'm a guy who loves Odell. I'm a big fan of his. Watching him with the Giants was one of my favorite times to watch the Giants, even though they weren't very good. It sucks to say it. I'm just not sure Odell has much left in the tank, and it feels like the prime of his career was shortened and shrunk due to injuries. He could just never escape the injury bug, whether it was with the Giants or the Browns or the Rams in the Super Bowl, where he was on his way to be a Super Bowl MVP. He gets injured and his season is done, and he has to miss the entire next year, and then he has to work his way back with the Ravens, and it just never really got back on track with his career, and it stinks. Injuries suck, and I wish you could turn them off. At least that's what I do in Madden. When it comes to the Giants, though, bringing Beckham back in, I think it makes a little bit of sense, but I don't know if it's really the right time at this point. Look, Malik Nabers is here. He's your wide receiver 1. There's not much to say about him that you guys already don't know. You have Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot entering his 4th year out of Kentucky. Darius Slayton just re-signed with the New York Giants. Your top 3 wide receivers are pretty much set. Then you got Jalen Hyatt being that boundary receiver behind Nabers and Slayton. But then you don't really have much. Is Lil Jordan Humphrey going to be the 5th wide receiver on this team? Is Bryce Ford Wheaton going to become a wide receiver at the NFL level after being a special team specialist? Zach Pascal has been a non-factor in the NFL recently, and I love Amir Smith-Marset. He's a great punt returner and kick returner, but there's a long way for him to go, in my opinion, to be a productive week-in, down-out receiver in the NFL. You got Daquan Felton, Dalen Cambry, and Bo Collins, the UDFAs. But I don't know. Look, you have 4 receivers that I think have proven, 3 if you don't want to count Jalen Hyatt, that could prove and have proven they can produce in the NFL. But there is still a need for a wide receiver on this team. Is that Odell Beckham Jr.? Does Odell want to come here and be a backup? I think the answer to that would be yes, because I don't think teams are necessarily knocking at the door of Beckham to go out and sign him. But I kind of feel like it's like the backup quarterback theory. Has he become too big of a star to be a wide receiver 5 or a wide receiver 6 on this team? And more often than not, when you're building that 53-man roster, wide receiver 5 and wide receiver 6 are special teams players. And I don't think Odell is a guy that's going to get down there on punt return or be a gunner on punt and work on kickoff and kick return. And you don't really want a wide receiver that can't produce on special teams to be one of those back end of the roster guys. Look, this organization has been extremely nice to Odell, and they've even kind of hinted that they wanted to bring him back a couple of times in the past. Remember in the 2022 season where the Giants were on the way to the playoffs with Daniel Jones? They were recruiting Odell, and Odell was working back from injury after he had that devastating injury in the Super Bowl with the Rams. Remember this report? Odell Beckham Jr. had a good visit with Brian Daboll and the New York Giants. Did not lead to a signing, but he at least came into town, went to 1925 Giants Drive, and at least got one of those dap-ups with Brian Daboll. Then he fast forward to March 27th of 2023. John Mara says the Giants haven't closed the door on Odell Beckham Jr. Mara saying he is in favor of signing him back if Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll can make it work. So there's some breadcrumbs here that maybe the Giants were interested in Beckham at the time, and clearly Beckham is still interested in the New York Giants. I'm just not getting my hopes up here. Maybe it leads to a signing down the line, and you give Odell a one-year contract for a veteran minimum salary where there's some incentives in that contract, and you give him an opportunity to earn his way onto this roster. I'm just not so sure the timing is right for the Giants and Beckham as we head into the 2025 season. I've got a couple more thoughts on this video, but first, make sure you are subscribed, because if the Giants do have Odell Beckham Jr. put pen to paper to be a New York Football Giant again, we are going to go live on this channel. So subscribe and turn those notifications on. July 4th is also right around the corner, and no better gear to rep on 4th of July than some New York Giants USA gear. And you can get your shirt today by going to this link, chatsports.com/USA Giants. That's chatsports.com/USA Giants. I'll put that link, and make sure it's clickable, down in the comments and description. That way you can get your gear to party out with some swag on the 4th of July. Let's start with this. Odell, huge fan. Absolutely love this guy as a football player. But at the end of the day, I'm just not so sure it makes that much sense anymore. He's the most electric player I have seen with the New York Giants. I'm a 30-year-old Giant fan. I didn't get to see Lawrence Taylor. I love Eli Manning. But there was nothing better than going to a Giants game or watching a Giants game when Odell was there. I always remember the Josh Norman game, version 2 of them. I always remember what he did to the Baltimore Ravens when he went over 200 yards. I'm just pretty confident at this point that he is just not that guy anymore. And if he was, obviously I would love to bring him back and play for the Giants. But I'm just not sure he is. And I do want to take a moment to appreciate what he did with this team. He was on his way to putting a legit resume to make the Pro Football Hall of Fame. In his rookie season, where he missed 4 games due to a hamstring injury, he put up 91 grabs for over 1,300 yards, 14 yards per catch, 12 touchdowns, and 108.8 yards per game. Backdoored that season with another 96 grabs, almost 1,500 yards, double-digit touchdowns. Then again, double-digit touchdowns, had an injury, missed a lot of time, and came back in 2018, and in the minimum games he played, he was still solid. He put over 1,000 yards on the stat sheet in 12 games played with 6 touchdowns, averaging 87.7 yards per game. So he's special, no doubt about it. He was elite with the New York Giants. I just think the end of the road is here. Do I want to see this guy suiting up for the Giants again? Absolutely. It would be a lot of fun. It'd bring a lot of excitement and energy to MetLife Stadium. Maybe some much needed energy and emotion from this fan base. It just seems like the time at this point isn't going to be here anymore. It still sucks. He didn't reach his peak here. He was supposed to. He was supposed to be one of those guys like Eli Manning that could say, once a Giant, always a Giant, and only a Giant. That is how the Odell Beckham career arc was supposed to go. And it didn't. And it ended with a trade that I still remember where I was, what I was doing when Dave Gettleman sent him to Cleveland to die. And unfortunately, his career somewhat did die after he was traded to the Giants, even though he did win a Super Bowl with the Rams, and I was definitely rooting for him. On this day, I was upset. I was pissed off. I was in my feelings. But if you told me the New York Giants were going to trade Odell Beckham Jr. for the best interior defensive lineman in the National Football League, I might have had a different thought on this trade. And, the Giants clearly won this trade. You got Dexter Lawrence. You added Zeitler, who was good for a year. I can't believe they still cut him to create space for Kenny Golladay. R.I.P. to that. And you had Jabril Peppers, who was fun for a couple of years. I do want to make it clear, OBJ deserves blame for the separation on this team. He is not someone that can say, I had no part in the Giants trading me. We know the story. I don't have to go through the timeline. We know the Lil Wayne interview. We know he was overseas, he was eating pizza, and there was some weird white stuff on the plate. He always wasn't the perfect player. Didn't really get in any trouble, but, it just seemed like a natural separation at that point. But Odell recently said this on CBS Sports. I never, ever wanted to leave the New York Giants. The reason you heard me talking about what was going on was because I was pissed. Because where I come from in college, if we lost one game, our season was over. This was the organization I got drafted to. They believed in me. So if the Giants went and won a Super Bowl, I would be happy. But deep down inside, I wanted to be the one. No question. So it's definitely, you'll always hold that. But then someone like me, I went to the LA Rams, won a Super Bowl, but still, you just want that. And look, I still got a soft spot for OBJ. Sue me, I don't care. Did he win anything with the Giants? No. Did he do the boat picture? And did he make me very upset when he dropped 5 passes from Eli Manning at Lambeau Field? Absolutely. I always got love for him. And I would love to see Odell finish his career with the New York Giants. I'm just not so sure the wires of the timeline are going to be in a perfect spot. And the Giants do need another wide receiver to bring into camp and battle. And maybe that is Odell. And we'll be partying on this channel if it does. But I think it's more likely that these 4 veteran wide receivers are one of those guys. Amari Cooper could make a lot of sense. Keenan Allen is a veteran, seasoned slot receiver. Outside of Wan'Dale Robinson, you don't have another great slot receiver. Tyler Boyd, maybe not the biggest and sexiest name, but he is a really good pound-for-pound slot receiver. Ask the Cincinnati Bengals what happened to them when they left. And Gabe Davis, we broke that down, has visited the Giants, was a player that was picked by Joe Shane when he was the assistant general manager for the Buffalo Bills. His best years in the NFL were with Buffalo when Brian Daboll was calling the play, so I think that makes sense. I think we could see a wide receiver signing down the line. But I'm just not so sure that it is going to be OBJ. I would love it. But, again, do I think it happens? No, I don't. I wish. Wishes don't always come true. But if you want to speak it into existence, hit that thumbs up icon. If you want the Giants to sign OBJ to do a, what do you call, where a player signs the team and they do one more season to play, whatever you call it, I don't know. If you, a retirement tour, that's what I'm looking for. If you want the Giants to sign OBJ, hit that thumbs up icon and make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, posting about the Giants all day, every day. I'm trying to get my followers up. So please help me out, give me a follow. And we'll see you tomorrow on the channel with another video. Until then, let's go Giants.